So, hello, everyone, and welcome to Women Who Lead, our first episode of the year. I'm so excited. I'm your host, Teresa Palacios Smith, and I am happy about today's conversation. This episode is titled Executive Influencers, and it is all about leadership at the highest level, not just by title, but by trust, impact, and the way leaders show up for their people. As I often say, executive influence isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the one people trust when it matters most. So grab your cafecito, everyone, your favorite coffee mug. We've all done that here because we're going to sit down and have a wonderful conversation with these wonderful women because, again, the conversation is going to be so meaningful. So let's meet our guests. So let me start off by honoring and welcoming Tish Herwig, who's the managing broker at Bennion Deville, a trusted hands-on leader known for her empathy, resilience, and unwavering support of her agents and teams. Tish, welcome. We're glad that you're here with us today.
Well, thank you. I am very excited to be here. I'm in such great company.
Absolutely. And next is Kaylin Pound. She's our Senior Regional Vice President at Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices, Georgia Properties, a leader whose influence extends far beyond business results into community connection and care. Kaylin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Teresa. It's an honor.
And finally, joining us is Lynn Wheeler, President, Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices Indiana Realty, a respected executive leader whose steady people-first leadership continues to shape culture, performance, and growth, and who is coming out of a win. I have to mention this, Lynn, for our, football, college, Indiana University just really placed, and so proud. And welcome to Women Who Lead.
Thank you, Teresa. Everyone in Indiana would send a resounding go Hoosiers, and welcome to all of you. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you all again for being here, and let's dive in. So one of the things that I want to know that I'm always interested in is because real estate is a path that not everyone takes, what brought you to this wonderful career that you're in today? Was it by choice or was just by chance? And Lynn, I'm going to get started with you.
Well, mine was a little bit of both, to be honest. I graduated from IU, proud Hoosier, and went into the teaching profession. And as I started as an art teacher to seventh and eighth graders, couldn't be a little bit more scary. I realized very early on, right away, that it was not for me. I loved helping people and I loved the profession, but it just wasn't something that was going to satisfy the challenge need in me for a long time over. So I started looking for an alternative, and real estate was something that I always really had gravitated towards. I went to a career seminar and I knew immediately. And I worked towards that goal and moved into this profession and really thrived in it right away. And quickly knew that I wanted to continue in this world and strive for leadership within it. So it was a little bit of both, and I've loved it ever since after 22 years.
Well, you know what, Lynn, I'm telling you, you are definitely perfect fit for the career you're in. And you will find out throughout the conversations I've had with many of our leaders that teaching was their first beginning. And so it just fits so beautifully with the career of real estate because a lot of it is teaching. It's a big investment and just really teaching others, those clients, how the process works. So again, thank you for sharing. Kaylin, how about you?
Well, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. And so I wound up working at a temp service, and I was a receptionist for a real estate developer who just happened to develop Skidaway Island in Georgia. And I got very intrigued by the whole process and got my license. And I laugh now and say I was too young and dumb to know I couldn't do it. Man, I came out of the gate fast and loved every minute.
Oh, I love that. First of all, I did not know that about you. I don't even know where Skidaway Island is, so you're going to have to tell us where that is.
It's near Savannah.
Okay. Wow. News for me because I didn't know where that was. That's very cool, Kaylin. And you are, again, perfect for this industry as well. And Tish, how about you?
Gosh, I took a much the route around the globe, kind of the long way home, I guess, as I would call it. I had a really I was working full time at our family, and I had a challenging teenager at home that required more parenting, and so I needed to give up my full-time job and really focus on the family and make sure everybody was doing what they should be doing. And during that time, my husband bought me the real estate principles books, and he gave me a Tommy Hopkins book, his first book. And so while I was doing mom duty, I was reading this, and to me, it was like reading a novel. I just loved every bit of it. And he knew I had an interest in real estate because we lived in a rural area, and I really loved looking at land and how homes fit with land and easements and all that stuff. So that's kind of how I got started as far as an interest in it. And then when I finished all the books, he said, "Well, aren't you going to take the test?" And I said, "Well, why? I mean, I'm here, I'm here with the kids, and I don't know if I want to be in real estate." He said, "Well, you did the work, take the test." So I did, and I passed. And subsequently, I was invited to a mom's bunco group, and half the moms were real estate agents. I had no idea there were so many out there. And one of them invited me to work as her assistant. And so that's how I kind of dipped my toes. I very quickly joined the new agent group there to learn the craft. And I was very lucky. And this is a real pivotal point in my journey was I went to a company-wide, like a quarterly awards type meeting, and there was a speaker there, a speaker of a national real estate coach. This is 26 years ago, and giving a talk. And at the end of his talk, he said, your broker owner doesn't believe in my coaching services. So I'm going to choose somebody today and I'm going to coach them for free for 1 year. And so if you think about that, 26 years ago, it cost 5,000 a month to train with him. And he only worked with agents that made a gross commission income of over $1 million a year. So I hadn't even sold a home yet. So he ended up picking me that day. And of course, all the agents were ecstatic, like, "Oh, you're so lucky. This is great." And honestly, I was kind of confused. I thought, what am I going to do? I don't even know if I want to be a real estate agent. And I don't even know who this guy is or if even I like him. And so I went on to train with him for the year. I sold 32 homes that year. And what he taught
That
me.
is probably the most,
That's
the biggest
awesome.
testimonial. Who was the trainer? We got to give him a shout out.
Oh, it's Mike Ferry.
Awesome.
Mike Ferry. Wow. See, now, for those of us in the industry who know who Mike Ferry is and who know how impactful and the type of coaching that he does, that was super lucky. I mean, you really hit
It
the
was
lottery there.
It was like having lightning strike you, and he really changed my life. And when he was doing his speech, I wasn't sure I really liked him because when he does his talks, he's kind of sassy, and you're not really sure if he's a good guy, bad
If
guy.
he's going to fit your personality, right?
Yeah, exactly. And in training, he was the kindest, gentlest soul, and he really just taught me how to talk to people. And I came here to the Coachella Valley from the country, and the Coachella Valley, there's all these gated communities. I was like intimidated, and he really taught me how to talk to people and where to look for business. And that's how I
What a great, I'm telling you,
That's so cool.
I love hearing things like that because again, Mike is an incredible one. Both he and Tom have really led the way for many of our agents, and to get that opportunity from the very get-go when you didn't even know if real estate was the career you wanted to choose, and then getting that type of exposure. My God, 32 homes, everyone, that's a pretty big deal. I'm
Well,
just
Teresa, the interesting thing was the week between that moment and when I was supposed to meet him, my mind did so many flip-flops. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't know what he wants. I'm not sure if I'm in the right place. What if I go and I fail? And all this self-doubt kept coming in. And I thought, Tish, you have to decide. You cannot string him along. I mean, this is a very important person. And so finally, at the last moment, I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do whatever he says, and I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to do it no matter how silly it sounds. And I'm just going to peel away. any doubt or fear I have, and I'm just going to move forward with it. Well, let's just see what happens.
See, you got to go all in 100%. That really is what leadership looks like, right? When you start. One of the things too that I always talk about is about the fact that when we look at you, all of you, we don't realize the efforts and that you had to put in to get to where you are. I mean, all of these things, you all were agents at one time. So as leaders, we often rise from the very moment that test us most. So this is one thing I always want to ask, because there are times that we go through, like you were wondering, do I go into this industry? Do I not? My son is, I'm struggling with my teen, right? I've got all these issues, but people don't see that. So can you share an experience of adversity that changed you personally and the strength you discovered because of it? Because sometimes we don't realize that there are strengths behind things that happen to us. I'll start with you, Kaylin.
I think that pivotal moment was 10 years ago, and I was riding a horse and had a fall. And we were rocking and rolling. I had two huge offices. Our numbers were great. And it not only broke my back and pelvis, but it stopped life for me for a minute. And the company wound up sending me home to recuperate, which you don't send a sanguine home. I got to be around people. But the agents couldn't call me so I could recover. And that was probably one of the deepest, darkest moments of my life. I woke up every morning crying. It's so hard to describe. But ironically, just this morning coming in, I'll get emotional about this. I had an agent just went through a very difficult surgery, and she was in pain and she's crying and she goes, "This is never going to end." And I was able to empathize. The turning point was when I realized that things happen to you for a reason. I couldn't figure it out at the time. Why me? Why did I break my back? I was real close to being in a wheelchair for life. So I was very fortunate, but it also transcends into another realm too of not only being empathetic, but we all talk to very difficult people every day. And I try to learn what their story was. Everybody's going through some kind of pain or some kind of loss or hopefully some kind of happiness. And it's helped me deal with that better and empathize more.
I remember that, Kaylin. Thank you for sharing that. It was a tough time to break your back. I mean, and to almost be paralyzed, and to have to stay still. If we all know you, we know that that's not part of who you are, and your personality. So thanks for sharing that. I can really relate, because you've helped me so much throughout the years when I've faced those tough times as well. Lynn, how about you?
Oh gosh, it's a totally different scenario, but I similarly was in a time of my career where just had so much success, was leading an office of, 150 plus agents that I just loved, and was surrounded by a company that I respected highly and colleagues that I loved. And I went through a period in my leadership that just tested me deeply. Um, a colleague of mine, colleagues of mine that I cared about deeply, were going through some challenges that really were putting them through some hard times, and those challenges were left unaddressed for a long period of time. And unfortunately, that put issues on the office and put issues on me that weren't addressed directly. And it was a really delicate situation. But as a result of that, I found myself as a leader carrying the responsibilities of the day to day in a very, very difficult, almost toxic environment. And in those challenges, not being addressed head on, narratives started to form that weren't really reality. It created confusion, misalignment, and a great deal of stress. And similar to Kaylin, lots of crying and just not a great situation. So, my focus really became on protecting my people, making sure that they were supported and insulated from as much of that as possible, sometimes at the expense of my own well being and stress level and reputation. It was such an incredibly challenging few years, but I strongly believe as a leader and as a person, everything happens for a reason. And I wouldn't change anything that I've gone through in my life. And that situation was one of the most formative things that I've ever been through. It's taught me the importance of clarity, courageous conversations, healthy leadership structures, and most importantly, shaped the kind of leader that I'm committed to being, someone who addresses issues early and leads transparently, and never allows ambiguity to erode trust. And it's just been really, really helpful to me throughout the years to go through that stress. And I think that's always an important reminder for people that when you get through these really horrible scenarios, you go, why? Why is this happening? There's always a reason on the other end, and you have to remember that.
You built that strength and that resilience that you never knew you had in you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and it opens up your eyes. I think I thank you for sharing that. That had to be tough because you when you were saying that, I thought, well, a couple of months. When you said years, oh my God, I'm like, how do you go through things when you don't know if there's going to be an end? I
It was
just
challenging,
remember,
yeah.
yeah, right. Is it going to end? When is it going to end? Why is this? But yeah, you learn from that. And I know, Tish, you shared with me a very similar scenario of, you know, dealing with personal crisis. You already talked about one, but how that changed you as well. Do you mind sharing that?
Um, yes. About 4 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with cancer. And so it was going through the shock and awe of hearing that and treatment options and carving out a path for his wellness was very, very difficult because we work in a sales environment every day and you have to, I believe in meeting my agents where they are at and not bringing them to where I'm at. So I had to really work with that in the forefront to maintain just positive, uplifting, and continue to do my job at this same level as before. I was devastated about the journey we had in front of us. But, I have going through that and we've had great results and he's doing terrific. And we're both better people for it. It helped me understand what some of my agents go through that have had similar type situations in their life. And also understanding it's interesting, there's different kinds of grief, not just when somebody passes away, but when a time of your life is either stalled or never to be again. And so there's a grief in that. And I went, oh, that's what this feels like. And I was able to really hone in on that when I'm faced with that from one of my agents or maybe one of their clients that's going through some sort of grief and that's why they're selling their home and having problems making decisions and bringing that together I now have the ability from my own experiences to really get right into that place with them and bring them out of it. So it's taught me a lot.
Wow, there's nothing more, um, you know, helpful to others is when you've gone through it yourself. There's an
Mhm.
empathy that you can understand that's so different from someone who has not been there. And so, first of all, I thank all of you for sharing because I know those were personal scenarios and I really appreciate it. I know our audience does too. One of the things that I also want to know is that leadership is really tough. Lynn, you already talked about that. And what's one lesson that you learned the hard way, but now consider essential to who you are today? And since you already talked a little bit about your experiences, what was that hard way lesson? And now that you consider it essential to you? Lynn, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I would say number one without question for me that I've learned the hard way, but it's so vital is that visions and values are number one. And we've all heard of round peg, square hole, and I really lived that. And I think that there are many different organizations and teams and people in the world, and they have different visions and different values. And sometimes you find yourselves working amongst a team or working with others, and those visions and values might not align, and that's not a bad thing. They are probably wonderful as a team or a company or as a person or an individual, and you are as well. But if those visions and values don't align, you're not going to operate at your best self, and neither are they. So that's been my number one lesson of um, those misalignments are not a bad thing, but you've got to get in a place where you have that alignment, because when that happens, magic happens. And I've seen that in real life. And it's been such a blessing to myself personally and to others that I've seen go through that. And I would just wish that anyone listening, if you're in a place or if you're in a spot where your vision's just not aligning, that you can find that, because it really is magic in a bottle, and don't settle for it.
I think that is the best advice. So in other words, expanding on what you're saying, if you have somebody on your team, on your company where that doesn't align, you have to make that tough decision of, hey, I'm sorry, it's just not going to work.
100%.
And
Absolutely.
so,
And that's okay.
and that's okay. It's like, I got it. I love that. That's great advice. Kaylin, how about you?
One of my very first bosses would not allow me to come in his office with a question unless I had exhausted every means to find the answer. And it's a lot easier today to do that. And I was scared to go into his office unless I had really worked hard coming up with the answer. And I think what that did for me in my career is I still am the same way. I will not call an attorney. I will not call my bosses. I will go exhaust every means to get the answer, which makes me learn the source and the substance of it a lot more. And I just feel like now in my career, when given command, take charge. Just take charge. All of our agents, everybody out there, we're CEOs of our own life.
That is the best advice, Kaylin, because people don't do that. When I joined the Georgia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Sarah Gonzalez, who was the CEO and has passed away since, would always say the following: if you bring the monkey, bring the banana. So, like, if you got a problem, got an issue, exhaust everything and then come with a solution. Don't just come with a complaint. Give me what the solution is so that I can figure out how we can best implement that. And to this day, if you bring the monkey, bring the banana is my biggest thing, because you have to be this, like you were saying. I love that. Tish, how about you?
Well, I would say that early in my career, when I was much younger than I am today, I was more of a taskmaster and less empathetic than I have today. So I would say that it's been a long path of understanding that about myself, is that I can be pretty tough and on myself, and I can set some expectations for others that can be intimidating sometimes. And I've learned through trial and error through the years that, you know, my expectations need to be about me, not others. And I need to be more empathetic in the respect of asking questions and listening to understand better before I move forward with a conversation with an agent or a coworker, that kind of thing. So to be less tough externally and to recognize it internally.
Oh, beautiful. I think you had the Mike Ferry in you.
Yeah.
Because no excuses, right? So I think this is one thing that I always want to know about all of you. And we've all faced self-doubt. I mean, that's, almost like imposter syndrome, or, all of us have. So when have you faced a season where you doubted yourself or the path ahead, and what helped you push through that and even rise higher? Because again, that is one thing that women face more than any other, like more than other genders, right? Than men. And so I'll start with you, Kaylin.
I think we all have doubt. I don't think it's a season. I think it's an ongoing thing. I may be speaking for me, not everybody else, but I've learned, and again, I go back to that boss. The more I know, the more educated I am about what's going on, the more empowered I feel. And so you just lean into the doubt. If you're going to go for it, go big or go home. You got to shove it to the side and hit it square on.
Beautiful. Tish, how about you?
Well, I have a saying that emerged out of the difficult real estate market we had in the 2000s, and it's be bold, be brave, and don't let fear paralyze you. So it's all about really, for me, recognizing in myself and others when I'm coaching, is this about fear, and what is it exactly? Where's the fear sitting? What is it about? Is it about a past experience? Is it about going forward, or fear of success, or those types of things? But during that time in our real estate market nationwide, all of us faced a lot of tough times. And I will say that some of my toughest times were during that time. I was in new home construction during then. So it was really, really brutal. And I really, I was surrounded, most of the managers were men. And it was, at the end of the day, it was down to me, my division manager, and our vice president of construction. And so we had to become one in moving forward. And how do we do that and generate income and keep this company going? And so there was a lot of self-doubt during those times. And this is why I had so much fear in me over what was going to happen, because none of us knew how we were going to get out of this and what was going to happen to our division, to company, to me. And so that's when I was really born to be bold, be brave, and don't let fear paralyze you. Keep your head up and keep learning and moving. And, it was some of the best lessons I've ever learned in business.
I think that is great quote. I love it. It's so true because fear does paralyze so many of us, right? It does cause us to not move forward on initiatives that are good and we know they're good and we know we can do them, but we're just scared to try. Lynn, I'll end with you on that question.
I'm just going to be honest, ladies. Imposter syndrome is a very real thing for me. um, I will say, I mean, it's fake it till you make it for me. It really is. And it has been for a very long time. For so many times, on so many reasons, on so many occasions, have I run into this throughout my career. And just recently, as I took on the role as president in our company, I felt this so strongly of how in the heck am I going to do this? Am I really qualified to lead these people on this level? And who's supposed to answer that question? I'm supposed to answer that question. Where are the people who are going to take responsibility if this goes wrong? I mean, it's just the more you lead, or even if you're just leading on a beginner's level, I feel like there's always that question of, oh my God, what's going to happen if I mess up, no matter who you are. And even as we were just getting on this call today, I mean, a little secret for everyone listening, we all said to each other, are you guys nervous? And we all were. So it's so real. I think no matter how high you go in the world, no matter what you do, you're always a bit of an imposter syndrome and freaked out, to be honest. And I always will be. So
I think that is the most honest answer and so true of all of us. We all face that, or I know I do. I know I face that every day. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm leading these incredible women in a
right.
show that I think are, are amazing. So I totally get it. I really appreciate that. All right, so let's shift into something a bit more tactical. And every one of you, you can actually answer this question, whoever wants to. I'm not going to outline anyone. So, what is one thing great leaders must stop doing? And one thing they must start doing immediately. So, anyone that wants to jump in on that one.
Um,
Go ahead, Tish.
so great leaders have to have more incoming than outgoing as far as conversation. Asking questions, listening, observing, instead of pontificating. It has to be, I believe, always a two-way conversation instead of talking at people. So
So start listening more
Mhm.
than you do, like 2 ears, one mouth, right?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
and like I'm ready to say, I like that. That's great. Just to have to start that, stop and stop the other. Anyone else?
I say listen more, but get rid of the noise. There's so much noise out there. And get your goals in your alignment, like Lynn said, and go for it.
Beautiful. All
I've
right. So,
always said,
oh,
Tish, to stop being so busy that you can't be creative. I constantly preach this to
That's such a great one.
our leadership as a company. You have to watch that. You always have to have space in your schedule to be able to dream and create as a company, as a leader, as a business owner, and be at the table. You've got to be engaged. You've got to be one of the first people to understand and know, and don't leave it to someone else. So, being really engaged in the industry, in the community, so you have understanding on what's really happening.
I think that also is phenomenal advice because a lot of times what I've learned from so many leaders is they take timestamp their every single moment of their day. And I'm like, if you're doing that, how can you meet with you know what I mean? How can you really lead when people need you if you don't have everything you've got in your calendar is booked? So
Right.
you got to leave
Mhm.
open time to be creative, to get out in the community, to meet with your agents, because
It's like
that's what,
calling the doctor and getting an appointment 8 weeks from now, right?
yes.
It's not
I mean,
helpful.
how many of us have faced that exact situation where you're calling and you're like hurting and, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't see you for, 5 weeks. I'm like, are
Mhm.
you serious? So I think that is so head on, so head on.
Well, Teresa,
Uh,
I love Lynn's answer because the creative part of our brains is very different than the tactical part where we're, crunching numbers and looking statistics and reading and looking at new laws and understanding processes and operations. And the creativity is this little bubble that we ignore like it's not important. And
Right.
creativity is where vision is born. So I love that.
Mhm.
Perfect. All right, so all three of you lead through people, through large teams, organizations, different markets. So, what do you believe most leaders misunderstand about empowering others? Because that is what each of you do in the work that you're in. And I'll start with you, Tish.
Um, I think that in order to empower others, that they have to understand what your vision is, give them the tools to do the job. And then I'm going to say a quote that my boss has coined. It's like hire great people, show them the vision, and get out of their way.
I think that's awesome. And a shout out to Chris, who I absolutely adore. Chris is an incredible leader who's the
Yes,
CEO of Bennion Deville. And I'm assuming that's who you're talking about.
that is exactly what I'm talking about. And he
Chris
is a great
Anderson,
leader. So yes.
big shout out to you. I'm sure he's watching because he always supports every initiative that Home Services does and also the teams in his company. I love that. Kaylin?
Frankly, I think sometimes leaders don't want to empower somebody else because they might be afraid they're going to take over their job.
Oh,
And I think that it is a true testament to your character when you lead and you're looking for successful successors and that you shout out when they do something good and you help them along that path. It's kind of the Pavlov's dog. Catch them doing something good, help build these people up and watch them fly, help them fly.
that is so true. And that is, Kaylin, for minorities, people of color, myself, that is something that constantly is a concern. Like, oh, if like if there's only 1% on the board and it's me, I can't invite others because then I may not be invited back, or they may be better than me. Or, I think that is a great answer, great insight, because that is important, to make sure that you are recognizing others and that you do empower them because, that is what makes you a better leader. Um, Lynn?
Such good answers. I think that some of us are just waiting on people to prove themselves, but sometimes their confidence grows more because someone is trusted and supported. So, really, back to what Tish said, you just have to believe in people and give them the space and the resources to grow, and be empowered by their own ability.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. One thing that I always want to know is what's keeping you up at night. Okay. I asked Alan Dalton that question once, and I'll never forget his answer because he said, I hate that question, number one. And what keeps me up at night is Netflix. So, but let's talk about when you look at today's landscape from the agent experience to the individual leader to the company that you're all working with. What is the biggest concern right now or challenge that is keeping people, up that they're thinking about, and how are you addressing those concerns? Anyone that wants to talk about
Gosh,
this?
compensation, compression for our agents. That's always on my mind of just looking at all the new laws and the new things that we are stepping up to the plate on, and how our agents can articulate their value the best way possible, and maximize their income potential. I think that's the most pressing issue right now. But on the back of that, we'll say that my team is doing an incredible job of adapting. And as a leader, I believe our job is to help people with change, no matter how small or how big it is. And when things change, that's when fear creeps in. And so understanding that ahead of time is to help pave the way so that it's not so scary for them. And I think that we've accomplished that. So that's probably what is on my mind most other than that, I sleep great. So we're in a good place.
Thanks, Tish. That's so true because change is ever coming to our industry. It's something that you just have to know is it's every day, something new or something happens. And that is the biggest fear I think a lot of our agents are experiencing right now, especially with all those new rules and regulations that are
Change
coming
means
down.
opportunity.
Exactly.
If you
It
say
does.
change, that means opportunity. Where's my new path? So that to me,
Yes.
that's very exciting.
It's so true. It's so true. Kaylin?
I'm totally in alignment with Tish. I do believe that the compression and and our costs are continuing to go up too. So we've got to show the value that we offer every day. Berkshire Hathaway is an amazing company with amazing tools. We just need to make sure that we're showcasing those all the time so that our agents see that value.
And that is another great, answer because I know that our agents work out of their homes mostly,
Mhm.
but they don't always realize the wonderful tools and resources that are available when a broker like ours is making available to them. So I think that's awesome because you got to think about your company and the costs and what it does to operate because it's so funny. A lot of agents still work out of their homes, but they still expect you to have an office for them when they decide that they want to come in, right? And that office sits empty, costs money. So I just,
It does.
I get it. I get it. Lynn, how about you?
I think my perspective is a little different right now. We're seeing, there's so much talk overall throughout the industry in so many different areas, depending on where you look, about the elimination of whether it be companies or the real estate agent as a whole for AI or you name it. And I think what keeps me up at night is reassuring our agents, our leaders, myself as a leader in a company, that we, not in the slightest, are on the chopping block, and are very secure as an organization, as agents, and in our values. So we're really preaching to our agents the three C's, giving clarity to their consumers just on what is really happening with the market, that the sky's not falling. It's just a normalization of the market, and that's a good thing for them and their consumers. And being competitive with their consumers on the market right now to make sure that they are getting their homes sold in as quick amount of time as possible and making a good presentation, and then having as much confidence as possible in their brand, themselves, and their team that stands behind them, because God knows we're confident. We are ready to go.
Oh, so true. I think that is also another area where all of us are always wondering what is it going to be, what's going to happen, right? And I think that's great that you are leading the way you're leading with your company and your agents. And I like the 3 C's. What a great, you know, way to help everyone through that. All right. So the other question that I have is, now that, you know, we've asked a lot of leadership about companies and backgrounds and all that, I really want to get personal, because I know each of you do such wonderful work. And you know, this is important because a lot of times people don't understand all the things that you do that are nuances to each of you. And Kaylin, for you, I'm going to start off with you. You created the Moving Forward event and council. What that is you bring in agents, employees, and leaders who have lost spouses and create a space for connecting, healing, and practical support. And that has affected me because I lost mine 3 years ago. And having this group that all of us gather and connect has been probably one of the biggest healing points for me. And I know it has been for so many of us. So thank you for doing that. But what inspired you to do this? And, you know, how has walking alongside others through this shaped you?
I have an amazing and very compassionate CEO, Deanne Golden, and she was coming into the new role as CEO. And one of the top agents in the company, she just didn't feel like she was making a connection. And I said, Deanne, y'all have got the biggest connection in the world. You've both lost your spouses. And then the conversation, as they do, went a little further. And I said, gosh, I wonder how many people we have in our company that have lost their spouse. And when I looked at my own office, I have 5 in this office alone. And so we started this luncheon, and it is the most endearing thing that I've ever been part of. Teresa kind of alluded to it. You can't really describe the bonding that has taken place because of that. And it's a group we don't want to see expand. We don't want that group to grow. But the ones that are there feel security and safe, and they feel the love of the whole company. And I learned that death does not discriminate. These women are across the board, and men with ages and races and whatever. It does not discriminate. And so it just warms my heart to be a part of such an uplifting event.
And I couldn't agree with
We're
you
on our
more.
4th year now.
Yeah,
4th year.
with Deanne, and there are people that have had losses 15 more years, but those that are fresh, that are new, and just connecting with people that really can relate to every little thing, even from the fact that maybe I still have all my pillows that I have Mike, you know, next to me. They can relate to you. So thank you for doing that. Lynn, you're part of the Mavericks group within Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices. A lot of people don't know the Mavericks and what that is, but that is an incredible group of leaders where everyone comes together and you challenge thinking, you compare companies, you look at each other and say, okay, what can we be doing better and how can we grow? How has being part of that community shaped you as a president, and how does it influence the way you lead with your business?
So our company is a part of Mavericks, and it's been really helpful for us in meeting some of the people who are engaged in that group, and just the information that is shared. And this year we hosted our first leadership summit as well as a company, which was unbelievable. We had 60 people attend here in Indiana from all over the country and bring ideas and collaboration. Um, that's something I was never exposed to in my leadership journey, and it's just been so inspiring. Masterminds locally is one of my favorite things that I've been introduced to at Berkshire Hathaway. It's the coolest experience. We just had our mastermind launch at Berkshire, Indiana here today with 70 people here in our company in
Wow.
5 different groups across Indiana. and just the energy and the excitement of sharing across those groups, and to see that same ability across the country in some of the top companies in this network is just so exciting and wonderful. And people aren't jerks, they're just willing to share.
It's
And
so impressive. It really is.
yeah, and that's really something special and unique and wonderful to this organization, and it really should be commended. So it's
I
fantastic.
I love that. And I know you talked about that when we first got together, how unique to have that. And I guess I've taken it for granted because I've always been with this company. So I always thought everyone did this, but the truth is it's not that way everywhere else. So again,
It's
thank you for
super
sharing that.
unique. Yeah, it's awesome.
Tish, I know that you already talked a little bit about this, about your husband battling cancer, but that really did change how you navigate things with your teams when they're facing their own challenges. Tell me, how has that helped you through all the process personally and also with the people that you work with the most?
So because of my background of being mentored by Mike Ferry early in my career, brand new, it has really inspired me to give back. I have given up trying to determine who's going to be successful and who's not. I have literally have no idea. It takes all different kinds, right? So I find that I probably in our company hire more new licensees than our other brokers on average. And it's because I just have so much, it changed my life so much. And I love being in this industry. I love what I do. And I've just kind of naturally um, gravitated towards the leadership. It just is, wasn't seeking it. It just has happened over the years. And I am always looking for that next, agent who is ready to just eat it up and go for it and change and have real estate change their life. So I work a lot with them in that respect. And in order to get them to show them the way of pinpointing their inspiration for themselves is really getting to know them personally. What is the path that you've walked to get here? And to understand what their journey has been. Because, in real estate, we always thought we were here to sell homes, but we're really to help people on their journeys. And we just happen to be at this one moment in that journey where something in life has happened that is requiring them to list or sell a home. So it's that way with our agents. Our agents, they're my customer, they're my client, and I am trying to find out where they're at in their journey and what it is how I can connect with that one piece that's going to inspire them.
Oh, I love that because I've always known that when you know the why, the how becomes so easy
Right?
because then you can really help them because you know why they're doing what they're doing and you can actually lead.
Sometimes it's helping them to realize that maybe this isn't for them. Some people, I've had agents that have done really well, but just said, I can't take the emotional roller coaster. I can't seem to get a grip on it, and I don't want to do this anymore. So I've had, helping people to come to terms with that as well. So there's a lot of going on, personality and life-wise that really is the mechanics of what we do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So, gratitude, I think, is a big part of what we need to be doing every day. And when you think about the people who helped you along the way, who stands out and how does their influence shape the legacy you hope that you can leave through your own leadership? I'm sure, Tish, I can figure yours
Now
out,
you
but
can guess
anyway.
mine, yes. Yes, of course, Mike changed my life, but there's been a lot of other great mentors along the way. I have for me personally, any company that I have worked for, it's all about culture. I have to feel happy when I walk through that door and ready to do whatever it takes to be successful for my day, whatever that is. And for that to happen, I need to work with leaders that that also inspire a culture that resonates with me, that I believe in doing the right thing, all of those things. So when I met my boss, Chris Anderson, I just knew right away I could run with him. I'm like, I can run with that guy. I'm gonna give this a shot and see how it goes. And 10 years later, I'm still running with him. So it's been a good decision. But you know, it's just, to me, the culture is super important. And I have, the leaders I've worked for have really inspired me many times along the way. So, Mike
Beautiful.
he just started the fire.
He did. I mean, you do not know how lucky that really is, because all the people that have mentored me have had Mike as a coach. So I can tell you, Gino and Juan Martinez, all the people that I know have been really close friends. Mike Ferry was the one they always talked about. Kaylin, how about you?
Well, I've had so many, even the leaders that I didn't align with as well as I should have others. I've learned so much from each and every one of them. I worked with a leader that was kind of a bad boy. I learned how to get away with stuff and how not to. But I think my biggest mentor, I know this is going to sound corny, but it's true, is my mother. I talk to her every morning, and we end every call where she tells me, go out and be a blessing to somebody today.
Oh,
It's so sweet.
and I met your mom, and she is an amazing, amazing woman and has gone through so many things in her life. It's just a beautiful story. So, again, thank you for sharing. How about you, Lynn?
Yeah, this is a hard, you send hard questions, Teresa. So many people over the years, I've been blessed in the industry to hire two CEOs in real estate associations who were both so instrumental in my leadership journey, but really two other people stand out. My first manager in the business, his name was Ed. And he passed away many years ago, but we still, every year on his birthday, have ice cream to celebrate him. And he preached 10 life lessons, one of which was taking a nap every day. And the thing I loved about Ed that I've learned the most was he knew everything about everyone. He was so ever present and made such deep connections with the agents that he served. He was so personal. So I really strove to have those deep connections and know the people that I serve and love in a leadership position. And the second, I really have to agree with Kaylin. Unfortunately, this past year, I lost my dad. And you never really realize what an impact people have on you, unfortunately, until they're gone. And my dad, I said at his eulogy that legacy is not something that you leave behind for other people, it's leaving behind something in other people. And he really left in me some really annoying tendencies that have become some of my greatest skills as a leader, a very strong attention to detail, a need to do things right, and a love of building people up. So those kinds of things have made such a big impact on me in leadership and in my career that I never realized until after he was gone.
Oh, first of all, I'm so sorry for your loss. And sounds
Thank
like
you.
what a wonderful person to be able to have as a mentor and leader within your life. Do you mind? I know you said Ed. What was Ed's last name?
Ed's last name was Gallagher. They were both
Ed.
characters. They're up in heaven doing crazy stuff.
It sounds to me, I like that. I like that idea of take a nap every day.
Yep.
That's a great advice. All right. So I can y'all believe it? We're almost done. So we're coming to the end. And my last question that I ask everyone, because I always want to leave our audiences with great ideas, great quotes or books or podcasts or something that they can take with them. So tell me one that has shaped, what is a quote, a book, a podcast, or, that has shaped your leadership or change the way you do business. And it can be all three, this is what I see. And again, this is my favorite part of the show. So I'll start off with you, Kaylin.
This book I read every morning, and it's Jesus Calling. And I feel like every day it's talking directly at me. And it reminds me that I'm not in control. I think I am, but God is in control. And so that's really my go-to every single day. And I guess my favorite quote would be, life should be led like a cavalry charge.
I could say that one. I love it. I love it. I'll go to you, Tish.
Well, it's a tough question because so in the Coachella Valley, first of all, it's a valley of Hollywood comes here, and we have a lot of celebrities that have retired here. And so we have a local podcast here called Big Conversations Little Bar that a very good friend, it's my husband's best friend, leads that podcast. And so I think that the stories he brings that are initiated from the valley for people that we know, whether it's famous business people in the valley, things like that, I think that helps, carve out the mood and the culture and it's a big little town here. So I think that helps with tying together the 6 degrees of separation of who do you know in town and what are they doing and great places to go and to be able to talk to people more easily.
And the name of it again is?
It's called Big Conversations Little Bar.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
like
they
little
have
bar, like a place to hang out, like to drink.
It is. It's a little tiny bar. It's that is here close to next town over Palm Desert, and that's where they conduct their podcast every week.
Wonderful. We'll have to tune into that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Lynn, we'll end with you.
Oh gosh, that's so fun. So growing up when I was a kid, there was always a Winnie the Pooh drawing in my room, and one of my favorite quotes is a Winnie the Pooh quote. So, and that is, you can't wait in your part of the forest waiting for others to come to you. And I've always really looked at leadership and just kind of anything, honestly, in real estate, is that you need to get out of your box. You have to learn everywhere and have a seat at the table. So learn from others in different organizations, different teams, different groups. Know everyone and be a friend to everyone, and then share and teach that information once you have it. So that's kind of been my philosophy.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
So first of all, thank you all. My heart is so full and my notebook is full too. So I really do appreciate all of you for providing your honesty, your vulnerability, and your leadership. You truly embody what it means to be executive influencers. And I'm honored to share this space with you. So to everyone watching, I want to leave you with this reminder. Executive influencers isn't about control, it's about trust. And you can easily see how each of these women are those leaders that are trusted. And that's what their influence is all about. If today's conversation inspired you, please share it with someone who needs it, someone who you know is going to love hearing from these incredible women. And you can watch the replay and past episodes on womenwholeadseries.com and then on YouTube, Women Who Lead with Teresa. Or listen on our podcast. This will become a podcast in 2 weeks, womenwholeadpodcast.com. So mark your calendars. Our next Diversity Matters is going to be on January 28th at 1 p.m. And that's going to feature this year's HomeServices of America Diversity Champion winners. And I know Kaylin, Wendy Allen will be on the show because you actually are placed as a diversity champion winner. So thank you for that. And then our next Women Who Lead is going to be on February 11th. Thank you all for joining us today. Until next time, keep leading, keep lifting, and never forget the power of your story. I'm Teresa Palacios Smith, and this